Task Force. We're giving clothing with care, community with heart. Lovely Ladies Lemonade for sale and shop to the sound of old school soul. Any questions? Contact Alicia Kennedy, Executive Director of Women United at 206-316-7601. 206-316-7601. Come and find the perfect outfit for you and your family. We look forward to seeing you there.
What's up, everyone? It's your girl, Queen Bree, inviting you to come join me on Clean Greens Living. Broadcasted Tuesdays, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. On Clean Greens Living, we talk farming, community, and ways to being healthy. So come join me and let's discuss ways to create a healthier you and a healthier community.
Are your kids eligible for or enrolled in Apple Health Medicaid insurance? Bring them to a free dental clinic in Skyway this fall. Public Health Seattle and King County is hosting free dental clinics for kids 12 and under at the Skyway Resource Center one Saturday per month, now until December. Visit kingcounty.gov/ABCD for more information. Again, that's kingcounty.gov/ABCD for free dental clinics for kids.
Here with the Rainier Avenue Radio traffic update. You can listen to us in your car 24/7 anytime by downloading the free TuneIn app. Once you do, search Rainier Avenue Radio. And remember, do not curse out your fellow drivers. This has been your Rainier Avenue Radio traffic update.
I'm Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not deep frying a turducken in a closed garage, I'm listening to RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Totally bored? Mindlessly scrolling? Put down your phone and pick up a free youth transit pass. Youth 18 and younger ride for free. Go all the places. Do all the things. Escape the scroll at freeyouthtransitpass.com.
Hello, listener. What's important to you about what's going on in your community? Are you interested? Are you concerned? In any case, I invite you to tune into my show, Seattle Here and Now, on RainierAvenueRadio.org. Why? I will be covering a wide range of topics.
Welcome to a pivotal moment in the world of broadcast as we proudly present the Men's Mental Health Show featuring the renowned Larry Mabry in collaboration with the Maassen Group. This essential exploration of men's mental health wouldn't be possible without the invaluable support of RainierAvenueRadio.world. Now, let's dive into this crucial conversation with Larry Mabry and the Maassen Group. Your mental well-being matters. Here's Larry Mabry.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome on this November 3rd, 2025. Welcome to Seattle. It's that type of weather. So anyway, just want to say thank you to our friend Fish Hooks Caldwell, Bradley Fish Hooks Caldwell. For those people who's paying attention, I was on a Thought Life. We talked about self-awareness. I want to say I appreciate him. Appreciate you guys here at Rainier Avenue. Appreciate all you guys that pay attention and chime in. This time of year, it's kind of depressive, right? We look outside, we notice that the weather gets kind of gloomy and that type of thing. And today I wanted to talk about what are some ways that we could show more affection or more intentional support towards one another. And, it's really, really interesting because I was watching a video the other day and it kind of got me thinking about it. And in the video, it was a young man, he was walking around and he just extended his arms and he rolled up to just different men. And he just said, hey, you know what? I'm having a rough day today. I feel like I need a hug. And I want to say he went to about maybe 25 men. And they were very rude, very disrespectful, very just unemotional, or I would say did not really have any empathy towards him. And it just made me think, right? Think about imagine if you, for those people who are fathers, right? And your son comes up to you and say, hey, I'm having a rough day. I just need a hug. And it was in my mind, I went back to when I was a little kid and I just thought about that. And imagine there's a lot of brothers out here or just men in general who just don't feel supported. And it just triggered me. Now, the cool thing is, or had me think about, not really triggered me, but just had me think about that. The cool thing is at the end of the video, he opens up his arms to one of the brothers and the brothers give him a hug and they start playing. And it was a cool experience, but it just made me think about, I thought to myself, I said, if that was a female and she were to say, you know what, I'm having a rough day, can I get a hug? I don't think anybody would have just shunned her and just kicked her to the curb, right? And so it just made me think about like how it is for us as men out here, and asking yourself, like, when's the last time you gave yourself a hug, right? And sometimes you just got to give yourself a hug, right? And thinking about if somebody reaches out to you, what are you doing to show your support, right? What are you doing to say, you know what, I see you. Um, and I was thinking about like how resilient that young man had to be. It was just like a social experiment, but I imagine inside he was feeling some kind of way, right? Now, I'm not saying that, we need to be weak as men, but at this end of the day, a lot of times I think it's a challenge for us to say, hey, you know what, raise our hand, say, you know what, I just need some love. I just need a hug. I just need you to have my back, right? And not have it be like something weird, right? And it's so funny because I remember growing up as little kids, we would play and hug and give each other dap and get kind of connected or whatever. For those people that play basketball or football, you hit the guy on the backside or whatever. And it wasn't anything crazy. It was just more like the brotherhood, right? You have sororities, you have fraternities, you have these organizations that have a brotherhood. And my question to you is, where's the brotherhood? Where's the connection? And so think about like, what are some things that you could do to connect to yourself, right? And so this time of year, I would implore you to do something positive for yourself, right? Whether it be play that old school album, right? That old school jam that you used to listen to, that you wore out the vinyl for those people that are older, or the CD, that you used to get caught up with. Find those old things that really inspired you and go back and get back and caught up. And you might say, well, Larry, what are you doing for that? Well, I'll give you a little tip. I really enjoy jazz. And so for those jazz enthusiasts out there, I recommend a couple people that if you play them, you will instantly get fired up. The one person that comes to mind is Stanley Clarke, and I'll give you a couple songs. Stanley Clarke has one song called Hideaway. It's the jam. He has another song called Lisa, the jam. Bernie Williams, right? He was an old baseball player, guitarist. I mean, the Moving Forward album is a jam. The song called Just Because, jam. A lot of cool songs or whatever. So make sure you find things that motivate you, that show you that you're taking care of your inner child, right? Connect with people. For those people that paid attention, the earlier show with Thought Life, Bradley and I kind of connected with people of like minds, right? The brotherhood. I have one young man, we connect. I just kind of reach out to him. Sometimes, you have to have words of wisdom or connect with somebody who has words of wisdom for you, right? Gratitude. What are some things you're grateful for, right? Find those things that kind of motivate you and keep you focused. Earlier, too, for those people I talked about having a Jedi Council, reach out to somebody, right? For those other individuals I was talking about, how I've been cooking more. And so just yesterday, I was thinking to myself, you know what? I worked out. I was feeling really good. In this type of weather, I'm like, man, what I want to eat when I get back, right? And so I made this turkey chili that was just the bomb, right? Just turkey, some tomatoes, some celery, some carrots, some sweet corn, some kidney beans, hooked it up, right? Let it settle, taste tested it, need a little bit more time, a little bit more heat. Let it sit for a little bit more, throw a little cheese on there. Superb. Why am I sharing this? Because as men, what I realized is you have to kind of be the parent to yourself, right? The father to yourself, which means you got to give yourself a hug sometimes, which means that sometimes you got to discipline yourself, as we spoke to earlier. Sometimes you have to give yourself what they call the iron fist, but the velvet glove, right? What does that look like? Well, sometimes you got to be a little stern, but at the same time have compassion, right? Feel free to reach out to people and say, hey, you know what? I need help. Hopefully it's somebody you trust, right? And then that individual can support you and have the real conversations with you. I think it's important to connect. And I feel like I'm 53 and I grew up in an era where men didn't really express their emotions, right? But that doesn't mean we don't have them. We do, but it's not really I would say celebrate it, right? Or seem to be cool if we have these emotions. And as I stated in that video before, it was apparent that if somebody says, hey, I'm tired, I need a hug, I need some support. Some people would say, oh, you know what? He didn't really know the guy. Yeah, that makes a valid point. However, if somebody's saying, yo, I just need support, if you see somebody on the side of the road, are you just going to shun them and kick them to the side? Right? Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Like, what is it? Is it me just not having the human element? Right? We all need support at some point. And so who can we go to make sure we get that support? Right? And so I just implore you to think about what are some things you could do to kind of manage the depression. First thing I would say, find a good playlist if you can. Find somebody you can connect with. You can reach out to me, the Maassen Group, 1@gmail.com. Find an organization or find some people that you trust that you can have real conversation with. It's important to be authentic, right? Having somebody that you can connect with that kind of helps support you, but at the same time, you can be honest with. Because I feel like as men, a lot of times, we got the honey-do list. We have so many things we got to take care of for other people, and it's real easy to forget about ourselves, as we talked about earlier. And so every single day, we have to take a proactive approach to make sure that we're nurturing ourselves. When you're noticing that, sometimes you might just need to get a good night's rest, right? Because maybe you worked too hard that week. Sometimes you got to tell people no, just say, you know what, that's not working out for me. Sometimes you might need to make sure you drink enough water. That's a big thing I'm noticing lately. A lot of times, the weather that's out here, we see a lot of rain, it's a lot of cold. It's real easy to forget that, hey, we need to make sure we get our fluids in, right? It's easy to drink a lot of water when it's really hot, but when it's cold, sometimes we forget, but that's very important to make sure we balance ourselves. So that's another key piece. Another thing too, I want to express this too, as we get older, and this was a realization I had. With dealing with my dad, I realized that he had a lot of pills and things that he had to take to kind of help him manage. And I looked at that, he has like a Sunday through Saturday type of pill case, so many pills he takes per day. And it was a realization to me, because I realized that if I don't take care of myself, basically this would be my fate. So I started flipping and say, okay, well, let me make sure I take my vitamins, which I take every day. Let me take some minerals, which I'm more intentional about, do a detox, do certain things for myself to make sure that I extend my life, right? And I think, when you're young, you're vibrant, everything is moving quickly. You think, oh, I got forever, right? But as you get older and you have those realizations, sometimes it's easy to take things for granted. And, it's really weird, like in our minds, I think, as men and as humans, once we have a situation where someone in our family has something like surgery or a traumatic event, then all of a sudden we have this wake-up call, right? For a period of time, and then we kind of get in our rut and we forget. And so what I would advise people to do is say, you know what is it in this message that I could take today to change my life, if it's one step, right? I'll give you an example. One of my clients was talking about how they use meditation, right? And I think sometimes that can be very beneficial, right? Meditation is basically where you sit quietly in a room, typically a dark room, you close your eyes and you kind of watch your thoughts, right? You may take deep breaths. You kind of noticing these thoughts kind of come in and out, but you're practicing being still and being in the moment. And what it does is it creates different dendrites, different things in your brain to kind of help you cope through some situations and practice being within yourself, right? And as we were talking, he was saying, oh, I want to go from 30 minutes to an hour. And my first response was, well, you know what? If you've been consistently doing 30 minutes, what I recommend is maybe doing 35 minutes, right? Let that build for a little bit, and then maybe do 40 minutes, and then let that build for a little bit, and then maybe do 45 minutes. Why would you think I would say that? Well, a lot of times I think as men, or just in general, It's good to set goals, but I think it's important to set realistic goals and not set ourselves up for failure. And so, what are some things you could do, right? It might be, okay, if I'm eating unhealthy, every time I eat out, I'm gonna order what I'm gonna order, but instead of ordering the drink, I'm just gonna order water. Start small, right? Do that for a while. And then maybe the next time if I go out, I eat something, okay, now I'm not gonna have water and now I'm not gonna have French fries, right? But you still do your thing, but you change one thing consistently. And then kind of once you build with that, then add to it. You know what I'm saying? I've noticed that that's been very, very powerful for me. For those people that have been chimed in, I've been talking about my weight loss journey. If you look at my older videos, you'll probably see I was a little thicker. I've probably lost about, I don't know, 30 pounds, maybe more. But the biggest thing that I've done that's been helpful for me is I ordered some organic food. I started cooking my foods, being more intentional about that. That's made a change. I go for walks every day. That's been very beneficial. Join the gym. So sometimes if it's gloomy weather, then I'll just go to Planet Fitness. Another thing about that, as far as self-care, which is very powerful, is they have those massage tables, right? The chairs, things of that nature. So because what I do a lot of times I'm sitting down, this allows me to work out a little bit, move around. And then when I lay down, I can kind of get that massage. So I'm kind of working my back. And so starting small, right? If I go consistently, which I have been, and just doing small things consistently, right? So going for walks, doing some weights. For me personally, which I think has been very powerful, is doing what I like to call calisthenic type stuff, body weight exercise. Very, very important. And this was like a motivation to me because with my dad, for me, it's always bringing it home and center for myself. With my dad, I realized that, because he has one leg, it was a challenge for him just to get up. And so I said, wait a minute, let me do some things that I can function better, right? Making my body stronger, making my mind stronger, making my heart stronger. What are some things I could do to work with my circulation, right? So making sure I do more stretches, making sure I could do a push-up, right? Things of that nature, because what I realized is if you can't really move your body around, what's going to happen if you fall, if you can't get up, right? Or if you twist your ankle, right? And you're not strong enough to kind of meander through, or if you need to run and you got bad knees, right? And so I started thinking about it. Okay, I know for a fact I'm getting older. What are some things that I can be proactive about to make sure I make it stronger as I get older, right? And that's going to extend my life, right? So just want to think about that. And so start small, right? Positive affirmation, maybe going for walks, maybe ride a bike, find something you enjoy doing and keep it consistent, right? You're going to add, I would say, longevity to your life. Make sure you're drinking water. I would advise put a lemon in there, right? A little detox. Also, too, if you can, vitamins and minerals, one a day, men's one a day, right? Try one thing, do that for a little bit, and then add something else, and then you'll just gradually create a different habit, right? I think that's important because I think sometimes, we can be overwhelmed when we experience traumatic or depressive situations. But a lot of times when we're in that depressive state, what happens is our serotonin levels are low. And so just going for a walk could be helpful, right? Movement, we're moving the lymphatic system, we're draining things out. We're able to think a little bit clearer because we're out in nature, or we're just having more activity in our bodies. That's important. Making sure you can connect with some people, because I think sometimes when we get depressed, we don't really connect with people. And connect with somebody, right? Also, another recommendation too is get a journal, right? Write your thoughts down, maybe talk about some things that you like about yourself, you're very successful about. Make sure you can connect with someone like myself or another person that you trust to kind of help you move through that situation. And I would say another thing that's really important too is go easy on yourself. I think as men, I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, expectations of our world. And so I think it's important to make sure that we diversify that, whatever that looks like for you, right? And so I'm curious to see, what are you guys thinking? Chime in, let me know. What do you think? When you're depressed, what are some things you could do to kind of change, right? If you have the opportunity or the funds, if you can go when the weather's like this, to go somewhere that's more pleasant, right? That has sun, something that kind of fires you up, that gets you excited. I think that's important. For me, music is so key, right? But just make sure it's something that's uplifting, that motivates your spirit. Take a shower, right? When you have different pressure water, that can kind of invigorate you, kind of get you thinking a little bit different, kind of shock the system a little bit. That's something people take for granted. Go for a walk, play a video game. Sometimes that could be helpful, right? Do something with a child or someone you love, right? That can kind of help motivate you a little bit too, right? It helps you kind of get out your mindset of it just being about you. I think that's important too. And I said it earlier, like going back to those old school songs, those old things that you may have come away from, that you realize that really invigorated you, inspired you. I think it's important. Move the body, right? If you can dance, find some music you can dance to. That's always good. It's hard to be depressed if you jam it, right? You got a song and you jamming to it. I don't find too many depressive people on the dance floor. So even if you don't feel comfortable going out, maybe at your own house, you play a song, you're dancing, just moving. Back in the day, you used to have the MTV videos, VCH, VHC, VHS, BET, YouTube University. Now you can watch an old school video that'll motivate you. That one song, Can You Stand the Rain, right? Just find a song that just motivates you and helps you think about something, right? That's a big thing that you could do to kind of get yourself out of that funk. And then just make sure you connect with somebody. And if you need mental health support, you could reach out to us, the Maassen Group 1@gmail.com, or make sure you connect with a trusted individual that can kind of lead you on the right path, right? To kind of help cultivate that, right? Okay, real quick. So just want to say, tomorrow on election day, live at 2:00 at King County Elections, the headquarters, and later at 7:00, the elections results show. So make sure you guys tune into that. Also, too, you guys know, Living Better, it's going to be Better Together, Living Powerfully. Dr. Tracy Harrell, make sure you guys show some love to her. She'll be on from 6 to 7. And I'm curious to see what you guys think about, I was on the show prior to with Thought Life with Bradley Fishhooks Caldwell. Had some really good points. Make sure you guys chime into him. He comes on just before my show, I believe the 1st and the 3rd Monday, I believe, from 5:00. So make sure you guys chime into that. Similar type of stuff we're talking about. And I'm curious to see, what are you guys thinking that you guys can do as far as working on your depression? Are you guys depressed at all? Is it something that you feel like we should talk about? What are some more things we should talk about moving forward to kind of help support men's mental health, right? I would say the biggest thing is make sure you show love to yourself. Really, really important. Think about the things that you do really well and celebrate those things. Go easy on yourself with those things that you're working towards, right? Make sure you show some gratitude towards those things. And make sure you take some time out for yourself every day, whether it be working out, whether it be affirmations, whether it be going for a walk, whether it be flying your drone or, making a music video or whatever. Find some things that you enjoy doing that invigorate you, to make sure you give to yourself. And then I would suggest too, if you can, find someone you care about, right? And share something cool with them. I think that kind of helps too. I know for me, when I'm giving to somebody, I tend to feel good. But if you don't have anything within yourself to give to yourself first, right? Find some things you give to yourself first, right? And I'm not saying just paying bills. I'm saying find some things that really, really make you feel inspired to yourself, right? And think about those things from more of a holistic standpoint, right? So it could be, going dancing, going to dinner, finding something cool to do, whatever. One thing I've been doing is I've been rewarding myself with just new things that I want to explore, right? So just something different, right? But anyway, guys, I want to say thank you so much Appreciate you guys you chiming in for today. Let me know what you guys think we should do moving forward. Appreciate Brad Fishhooks Caldwell for inviting me on the show with Thought Life. That's on from 5 o'clock to 5:30, the first and third. Make sure you guys show some love to our friend, Dr. Tracy Harrell, Better Together and Living Powerfully. And make sure you guys, again, tomorrow, Election Day, live at 2 o'clock, King County Elections Headquarters. And then later at 7 o'clock, election results show. So make sure you guys chime in for that. Okay, guys, about my time. Without further ado, peace. And we'll see you guys next Monday.